So far, one person, a male in his late 20s, has been charged with murder.
Police confirm the gunman was live streaming the killings at one mosque on social media. We'll talk about that more in a moment. 2 other people are being held, but it is unclear to this hour whether they too are involved. Police say none of the people in custody are in any kind of extremist watch list.
We had no agency had any information about these people. And I can also tell you that I've been in contact with my Australian colleagues. They have no information on them at all either.
New Zealand police are not identifying the murder suspect for legal reasons. He hasn't yet appeared in court yet. That will come tomorrow morning, local time, when he is to be formally charged with murder. But in an online post, the gunman calls himself Brenton Tarrant and says he is a 28-year-old citizen of Australia. Australian police and Australian media identifying him as well. Under his name online is a racist manifesto claiming that white Christians are under threat from other religions and races. He also cites mass shooters like Norwegian terrorist Anders Breivik and Canadian Alexandre Bissonnette, the Quebec City mosque attacker, now serving 40 years in jail for his actions 2 years ago. As we have been reporting, one of the most disturbing aspects to this attack is the fact that video exists of it, that the gunman stormed in wearing a helmet with a camera on it, and it was live streamed on social media. Much of the video unspeakably horrifying, images that instill terror, fear and outrage, but also offer insight that we at CBC News feel is important context to our coverage this morning. The video also shows the gunman in his vehicle before the attack. So what you're about to see is a screenshot from part of the recording. Take a look. The first time we are showing you this, this is the gunman showing his face to camera. As we have been reporting, the gunman calls himself Brenton Tarrant in his online post, 28 years old, and he calls himself an Australian citizen. The video, John Northcott, let's pick that up, the 17 minutes of it, much of it aired by broadcasters, notably in Australia, even though police and various authorities had urged platforms and media outlets not to do so. Take a look at this further into that, John, for us this morning, if you would.
Well, Heather, that, as you said, was live streamed, and that video was the final transmission, if you will, from this individual who, in the time leading up, in the planning of this, posted a number of elements online, elements that are now being reacted to and around the world as they are discovered, although having been taken down in some cases from social media. We can show you this photograph put out. This looks like it's on a piece of carpet there in the background. These are the magazines from an automatic rifle. These are what you'd call a banana clip, and here is a drum-style clip. Both of them able to deliver a high rate of fire, and all of them extremely deadly. Listed on that, sort of painted on in white paint, are a number of names and comments. These are individuals who have committed crimes against mosques before. The Quebec City mosque shooter, Alexandre Bissonnette, is one of the names on the rifle as well as the magazines that is being used. Various church shootings. Anders Breivik, who, of course, killed so many a number of years ago. The other names along here go back in history. Those who, back to the 16th and 18th and 19th century, who launched attacks and were in wars against, for example, Turkey, another entity that he takes some sort of strange pleasure in attacking as this goes forward. Also, a manifesto published online that goes on for over 70 pages, dealing with what may have been his motivations. Assault on our civilization, nowhere left to go that was safe from mass immigration. He deals with saying that Donald Trump is someone that he admires for being a supporter of the far right and uniting of those who are involved in what he effectively says is a race war. Much much of it very typical of what you might find on a fascist or a neo-fascist or right-wing website. Hard to separate what are the ravings of a madman and what are the message track of those who espouse these beliefs. But again, that out there around the world making the rounds. Heather?
John, it's interesting, he, in his manifesto, actually spoke directly about Donald Trump and indicated that he doesn't like a lot of his policies, but is certainly a fan of the populism and some of the anti-immigrant support that put him into office. He likes that, the same kind of thinking that led to, in his view, the Brexit vote outcome. But we should probably point out that Donald Trump's response so far has not to acknowledge any sort of mention of him in the manifesto, but very much to express his sympathy with the people of New Zealand. Motivations behind the attack, of course, this is one of the things that we will be thinking about and investigators will be looking at because, as we've said, this was not someone on any terror watch list. They did not understand or know about his sentiments. But what is the latest thinking in a little bit more detail?
Well, a number of things, not the least of which is one of the individuals who he also mentions, again, with what degree of seriousness, we don't know. But this is an individual who is from the right in the United States. She's African-American, but he tweeted, rather, she has just tweeted out, he commented on her in the manifesto, saying that she was an inspiration to him. She has responded sarcastically, few events I've not been blamed for, Brazilian mining dam collapse, Chinese air smog, Tenerife air crash 1973. She's not taking this at all seriously. Still, there's no sense of any concern or any sympathy for those who were killed in this attack. There are those who observe the growth of terror around the world and say that this attack is only going to add fuel to both sides of that debate. Have a listen.
The thing is this, is that the far right has often talked about a race war, about trying to create it. And this individual has tried to initiate it. And what worries me is that this may be a far-right attack, but terrorist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda may try to exploit it also to try and show their potential followers, well, this is how the West treats Muslims. And it's very important that the social tensions do not increase, not only in New Zealand, but across the world.
To that end, it's worth noting that Facebook quick to take down his post, issuing a statement here that in addition to moving quickly when police notified them of that live streaming video, saying, we've also removed any praise or support for the crime and for the shooter or shooters as soon as we're aware. That coming from Facebook. YouTube, our hearts are broken over today's terrible tragedy in New Zealand. Please know we are working vigilantly to remove any violent footage. So that's the reaction from the sites that were initially carrying the material that he was putting out there on all those platforms. Also worth noting, though, that, of course, between 4chan and 8chan and all the dark web organizations that are out there, the videos and his comments are freely circulating. I'll tell you that the Daily Stormer, which is a neo-Nazi website, have changed their landing page to feature a cartoon of the suspect in this case. And also worth noting that throughout the Muslim world, the video in its entirety was hours after it was removed from other English language websites throughout the Muslim world on Arabic websites. That video is still available. That going arguably to what Mr. Goha was talking about there in terms of incensing the debate on both sides. Heather?
17 minutes of carnage captured and broadcast. John, thank you. And